Good morning. We're back for another episode of Suiting Up Varsity's Want to Start a Fight, where we look at a single high school and discuss who their best athlete ever was, their greatest of all time, their GOAT. Okay, we spun the wheel again and we ended up in Boyd County again. We already did Butte. Now we're on the other side of Boyd County, which with Lynch, the Lynch Eagles. Lynch Eagles wore black and white. They competed until 2012 when they joined the Boyd County Consolidation and play for the Boyd County Spartans now. Competed in Class C really until 1955, and then in Class D at various levels through 2012. Niobrara Valley Conference member, original member, real OGs. They were in the Niobrara Valley in 1931. Niobrara Valley limps along through the 30s. I don't know if I should say limps along, but World War II, it seems to fade away. Then they bring it back in 1950, and Lynch is right there. So they've always been involved in the Niobrara. I think our look for their greatest athletes is going to revolve around their 5 state championship teams. Lynch Eagles 5 state championships. We're going to look at those teams, and I think we're going to find our greatest athletes right in there. Okay, let's start on the girls' side for the Eagles, and we're going to head straight to the early 90s. 1991, 1992, back-to-back Class D2 state girls basketball champions. In 91, the Lynch girls beat Shickley in a close state final, 45-42. And then in 92, they beat the great Lawrence teams of that era, beat Coke Trout and the Lawrence Panthers 68 to 60. They were 22-1 both years with only single losses, and they were powered by a pair of sisters, Lisa and Angie Graham. Lisa Graham was class of 1992. She was all-state basketball and all-state volleyball. Angie Graham was class of 93. She was all-state basketball and all-state volleyball as well. They were both 2-time all-state basketballers. Older sister Lisa, number one, I always go for the older siblings. Wonder why. But older sister Lisa was also 2-time volleyball all-stater. So I think we're going with Lisa, but we got to check track first. Now, Lynch didn't have any state track champions. No girls state track champions, but they had a pair of runners-up who should get mentioned. Michelle Thompson, 1988, half mile. She picked up a total of 3 medals. She was the runner-up in the half mile in 88. And Alicia Johnson was the high jump runner-up in 93. Probably played a part on those basketball teams too. But I don't think either of them upstages Lisa Graham as my greatest Lynch Eagle girls athlete of all time. Okay, on the boys' side, Lynch has 3 boys state championships and 1 runner-up. Now, 2 of the state championships and the runner-up come from the same era, the early 1960s in football. Now, Lynch had been 6-man football, I think, if you went back to the 40s. Niobrara Valley Conference was one of the first conferences to help move Nebraska to 8-man. So they moved to 8-man, I think, in 1955. But by 1963, they're playing 11-man Class D. 11-man Class D had a little resurgence there, and the Niobrara Valley came back. But before they get to 11-man, in 1980, they pick up a state runner-up rating in the state ratings. Okay, they were led by Al Brandy and Larry Landman, who were all conference running backs for them. Their big win was a 13-12 win over Spalding Academy. Spalding Academy was rated high on the 8-man charts and was a Class C school playing 8-man, which there was a lot of. In fact, a lot of times they would have a separate Class C 8-man rating and Class D 8-man rating. So that was a big win. It was Coach Paul Wilson. He promised the boys he would grow a beard. In preseason, they knew they were going to be good in 60. So the boys made him promise. I think they made him sign a contract. He would keep growing his beard until they lost. Well, they didn't lose. They didn't lose. They went 6-0-2. So he had that beard all year. Now, I never could find any confirmation. The other part of that contract was that he would walk through town in his long underwear if they went undefeated. So I don't know if Coach Wilson made that walk or not. They beat Springview in their finale, which was actually an 11-man game because they're getting ready to move. Now, why weren't they state champs? Well, the 2 ties were okay, but they tied Butte 13-13 tie with Butte in that rivalry, and that cost him a little bit. Greg McBride left them out of his World Herald ratings totally. Their runner-up finish was over on the Lincoln Journal side. Lynch folks were really good at writing letters to the editor. They wrote a letter, one of them to McBride was, Lynch is one of the few teams that played a Class A schedule. By that, they mean Class C. A lot of Class C 8-man teams. If Lynch couldn't tear York St. Joseph apart, I'll eat my hat. Man, the York people, they were fired up. Okay, they're being fired up pays off 3 years later. They're an 11-man. 1963, they go 9-0 under Coach Bob Dittman now. So there's no question of growing the beard or not, I guess. They beat Class C Spencer, giving the Pirates their only loss 20-12. They beat Ewing in a season finale that was 1-2. And they won, I think, 38-7. And Class D was growing now. You know, in the late 50s, we had some Class D champions when there were only like 10 teams playing in Class D. Class D has grown, so this is a pretty prestigious Class D state championship for Lynch. I've got a picture of this sticker I'm going to show you off a car. Isn't that beautiful? It's one of my favorite pictures that's been sent to me on Suiting Up Varsity. Now, they had a couple stars. Lauren Mulhair, who was a lineman, he was a senior. They had a junior running back, Virgil King, who was All-State too. Now, Mulhair is an interesting candidate because he was a 3-time shot and discus medalist as well. So there's a couple candidates for us. But their quarterback had been a sophomore, Fred Belter, and he was coming back too. And so in 64, they're looking to repeat, and they do. Virgil King's back. They win the Omaha World Herald Ratings Championship. You can see here there are several 8-man 64 state champions from the state, split ratings, and remember, split sizes of schools. But Coach Dittman leads them again. This time they play one of those challenge matches at the end of the year. They travel all the way down to Clay Center to face the Wildcats for the state title. So, they really went to burnish their, this was Armistice Day. And a kid named Don Johnson has some big runs, including a 78-yarder. And they clinched in 1964, making themselves back-to-back Class D 11-man state champions. Virgil King's back again as an All-Stater again. He becomes a 2-time football All-Stater, leading him 2 football championships. Pretty good resume. The quarterback is a junior, Fred Belcher, is All-State, and then he is 5th in the shot put as a senior. So there's another candidate for you. All right, the last Lynch State Championship comes in boys basketball, 2003. So close to the end of their run. They run through D2. They're 23-4. They beat Shickley, just like the girls had a decade earlier. And they beat Shickley for the D2 state championship. There's really 3 key guys. The senior that year is Nate Eilers, 6'5". He was a 2-time All-Stater for them, averaged about 19 points a game his last 2 years. He's the lead dog on that state championship team. Seth Haydenfeld is on that team. He'll be a 2-time All-Stater. He's class of 2004. And then Matt Haydenfeld, who's a sophomore on that state championship team, he'll be All-State in 2005 and be All-State football. So that's an interesting candidacy there. Okay, stepping away from the state champs, we do have one state track champion from Lynch, and that's Waylon Strom, who won the mile and the 2 mile in 1994 as a freshman. Strom was never able to repeat those, but he won 5 more medals in his career. All right, Lynch is a pretty tough decision as far as greatest of all time. The Nate Eilers, the basketball star, would be a good pick there. I like that first All-Stater from the 63 team, Lauren Mulhair. I like him there. But I think I got to go with Virgil King, who was a lineman on those 63, 64 state champs. I think I might have said he was a back earlier. I'm going with Virgil King as my greatest Lynch Eagle athlete of all time on the boys' side, to go along with Lisa Graham on the girls' side, class of 1992. King was class of 1965. All right, we'll be back again with another school soon.